Yo guys, what is up? Welcome back to another video, and in today's video we're going to be talking about Bushside Rangers Chapter 1, which, on the surface, it doesn't look that good, but, looking into the content that they gave us already, it actually looks pretty good, and we're going to be talking about Chapter 2, and why the chapter actually isn't that bad. So, let's get into it. Alright, so let's get straight into it. The chapter, I'm not gonna do a full recap on it, but its main gameplay is very similar to what I can compare to is Indigo Park and FNAF Security Breach and its DLC Ruin, kinda. And the story doesn't, it's not that huge for chapter 1, but you can tell they're trying to start something. And the gameplay elements are very similar to FNAF and Indigo Park, and the fact that we're going back to this abandoned park is literally exactly like Indigo Park. So if it has all this stuff that's basically copied from other games, then would it not just be a cash grab? Well, that's the thing. Also, the quality of this game, it's not as high as Indigo Park and all those other games, but this can be explained as their team is very small, and also the reason why it's kind of copied from other games is, well, obviously the small team, but then also, it's so hard to get a Mascot horror game out nowadays without it being a copy of something else. But that's besides the point. This game, with all its flaws, and by its flaws, I mean the overall idea. I don't think how they did it was wrong. I think just the idea of Bushside Rangers in general is kind of flawed. But I think the way they did it was very well, and they clearly did it passionately with their small team. So what I'm trying to get at here is this game has a lot of they put a lot of work into it. You can tell it's made by a very passionate team, and the soundtrack, it's so good, and the game looks pretty good. The gameplay, it's kind of copied from other Mascot horror games, but it's still fun nonetheless, and just so many good things you can say about this game. So overall, it is a pretty good game, but it does look kind of like a cash grab at the start if you really think about it. So that's why people might be hating on it, because it does very much seem like a cash grab. But if you look at how much passion is put into it, you can see past the cash grab allegations and see that this game has a pretty passionate team behind it. And they have even stated that chapter 2 might be free, which that would prove the point that it's not a cash grab even more. But speaking of chapter 2, once chapter 2 comes out, we'll see if this game is a serious cash grab or not, because chapter 1 was pretty short, and let's compare this to Poppy Playtime. Poppy Playtime clearly looked like it had some passion put into it, but it also had the allegations of being a cash grab once chapter 1 came out. And then less than a year later, chapter 2 came out, which kind of, for me, proved the point that Poppy Playtime wasn't really a cash grab. They dropped a ton of merch and NFTs, so it kind of was a cash grab, but the games still have a lot of passion put into them, and the lore of Poppy Playtime has expanded so much since then. So you can tell that Poppy Playtime obviously now is one of the big Mascot horrors. So once Bushside Rangers Chapter 2 comes out, it might still look like a cash grab, with Poppy Playtime kinda, but I think just in the future, looking at this, I think we'll see if it's a cash grab or not pretty soon, and it doesn't seem like it is, but it could end up being one of the next big Mascot horror games. There's a lot of tiny Mascot horror games still, Finding Frankie. Obviously that got pretty popular on YouTube, but no one's really talking about it that much right now, even though it's about to drop on consoles. The only reason people are talking about it is because Corey X Kenshin dropped a video on it. So yeah, these small Mascot horror games aren't really cash grabs. They're just small teams trying to get their game out. So do I think it's a cash grab? No, honestly, but we could see it could turn into a cash grab, and yeah, that would kind of suck. Like if chapter 2 was the same length as chapter 1, which their chapter 1 was actually longer than like Poppy Playtime chapter 1, because Poppy Playtime chapter 1 is about like 10 to like 20 minutes, depends on how long you take. If you're like exploring everywhere, then let's say it takes about 30 minutes. And in this chapter, if you're exploring everywhere, it should take 2 or 3 times as long. So about an hour and 15 minutes, or around that length of time, is how much it would take you if you're really exploring the environment and like not looking up a tutorial to solve like the puzzles and actually having fun with the gameplay, like the chase scene. But yeah, overall, this game has a lot of what's the right word? Potential. Yeah, that seems pretty good. I think this game has a lot of potential, and we'll see in its future chapters if that is used well. So this could go from a sort of Indigo Park FNAF Security Breach copy, which it's not really, but you can kind of tell why it kind of is. Like it's half cash grabby, half passionate kind of in this case. But once the next chapters come out, I'm sure we'll see that it is not full cash grab, and that's what a lot of people will realize. But some people have already realized this and some people haven't, so I'm just kind of going over the same thing right now. But yeah, we'll see in chapter 2, which could even be free, I already mentioned. So I really don't think it's a cash grab, but you know, they could turn it into one pretty easily. They better not drop any NFTs, guys.
Hello?
Bro, what?
Not an invitee, but I'll make it all. I'm a one-man band with no time to kill. So you better believe that this night is real. I'm the killer with the kids, I'm the purple guy. First I'll stab you in the back, then I'll make you cry. I'm a motherfucking smother-loving, goddamn motherfucker killer. Along with my phone, I'm waiting for a victim to deal. And then I'll step on in the cell and I'll kick that. With the cigarette all over your butt.